at Lofton.
Oh, yes, yeah. Do we have everybody?
Yes,
This is
sir.
everybody? Okay, so the way I understand it is we're good until 10:30, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Hey guys, my name's Tobin. Say hi, Tobin. So I'm going to talk to you about what I do in a little bit, but I thought I'd play a couple songs first, okay? So if you want to sing or clap your hands or dance, you're welcome to do that, okay? Just be careful and don't hurt anybody. All right. Hey guys, my name's Tobin, and what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about what I do today, or what I do for work. So I'm a musician, and I'm a music teacher, but I'm a musician who plays a lot of instruments, but I have what we call a principal instrument, and that's drums and percussion. Drums and percussion is any instrument that you play with your hand, or with a stick, or with a mallet. And I do perform, and that's part of my job, but my favorite thing in the world to do is to teach. And so I love doing things like this, and I love doing things at my studio, which is Studio Percussion Music and Dance Center. We have music lessons and classes there, and many instruments, not just drums and percussion, but all sorts of instruments. So I teach there, I teach at other schools and help out with their band programs. I also teach a little bit at the University of Florida. So I go around and do a lot of teaching, and I really enjoy that. That's probably my favorite part of the job is just that kind of stuff. So let's talk about what I'm using today. So we'll start with this. So the way this is going to work is if I ask you guys a question and you think you know the answer, raise your hand, okay? Well, don't raise your hand now because I haven't asked anything. All right, so who knows what this is? And you're going to have to speak up because it's kind of loud up here.
Bass?
Yeah, that's the bass drum. The bass drum is the biggest drum and the lowest sounding drum on my drum set. And the way that I'm making that noise is I have a pedal that I push down, and when I push down on that pedal, there's a beater that hits the side of the drum. Okay, then I have this. What is that? Who knows what the name of that one is? Right there. Uh-oh. Did he say something? Okay, we'll go with somebody else. Raise your hand if you think you know what it is. Yeah, that's the snare drum. I have two snare drums on my drum set. I have a larger one and a smaller one. And they make different sounds even though they sound similar. I'm going to play something on both of them so you can hear what I mean. They're similar, but they're still different. So you can tell that they sound a little different, right? Even though they sound similar. And then I have these two drums. Does anybody know what those are called? No? Oh. Ooh, you got it right. Tom-toms. These are tom-toms. Everybody say tom-toms. Okay. Everybody say bass drum. Everybody say snare drum. Tom-toms. Awesome. And then I have three types of cymbals. I have this one. That's called a ride cymbal. A lot of people don't know the name of that one. That's a ride cymbal. Say ride cymbal.
Ride cymbal.
Now somebody's got to know the name of this. All right. You in the middle. Yep. It is a cymbal, but it has a special name. It's got a specific name. Yes. I can't hear you. No. We'll go try one more guess. Right over here.
Crash?
Yes, it's the crash cymbal. This is the crash cymbal. Everybody say crash cymbal. All right. And then we have this set of cymbals here, and I'm just going to tell you the name of it. It's called the hi-hat. Say hi-hat.
Hi-hat.
And so the hi-hat's kind of special because you have two cymbals, and when I press down on this pedal, it closes them, and they can make a noise. And that's what it sounds like when I play it when it's closed. And then I can open it by lifting my foot up, and that's what makes it have that sound. So with one instrument, I can have a few different sounds here. That's pretty cool. And then I have this. Raise your hand. That is the tambourine. You're used to seeing people play a tambourine by shaking it side to side, but this is set up so that I can attach it to my hi-hat so I can play it with my foot, or I can play it with my stick. Okay, so now I'm going to take some questions. Let me come around the drum set. Okay, so we have something like 5 minutes to talk about questions if you guys have any. You can ask me about me or about my drum set or about anything music related, whatever you're curious about, okay? We got about 5 minutes to do that, and then I want to play a couple more songs for you guys. All right, right here.
Were you inspired to do drumming and stuff and to play instruments, or did you just like it?
Okay, so I started playing when I was 10 years old, and I'm 37 now, so how long have I been playing? 27 years, it's kind of a long time. Well, when I was a kid like you guys, and probably around 3rd, 4th grade, I really started to fall in love with music and playing music. I played a few different instruments, sort of, and then when I started playing drums, I really fell in love with playing the drums. It was a lot of fun for me, and it's still a lot of fun for me, so yeah, I was kind of inspired because I really liked the sound and the way it feels, and I love to play music, so this worked out for me. All right. Make sure you talk loud. Do I have to what?
You have to hit the drums hard.
Oh, well, I can play them soft. No. Sometimes we do play soft. I mean, I wasn't playing soft today, but sometimes we can. And sometimes we have to even play louder than I played today. And sometimes we're like really hitting it hard. I'm not playing as hard as I can. I'm actually pretty relaxed up there. Yeah. Yeah, I came here last year, so I probably saw some of you guys last year. Yeah. All right, let's do questions though. Questions though. All right, the yellow shirt.
Do you have a drum team? Did they call you to come here?
I don't know. I think this is my 3rd year coming here, or did I come here for the first time last year? Okay. Yeah, they invited me to come out because they think I do a pretty good job talking to you guys. All right. Yeah. Why am I sweating? Because like I was busy, and those lights are hot. And I was a little bummed out today because I thought I had my fan in my truck because I usually put a fan like right next to my head, but I couldn't find it today, so I got to figure out what I did with that thing. Yeah.
I had the honor and privilege of teaching your son, Tobin. So will you tell us how many kids you have and what instruments they play if they play it?
Okay, so my kids have just been around music since they were little because that's what I do. So I have instruments all over the house, and every time I go to do things, sometimes I've had to take them with me. So I have 4 children. They're all teenagers now, and I have 3 boys and a girl. My daughter's the youngest one. So my first boy, his name's TJ. He plays drums, and he plays drums in the high school band, and he's doing pretty good there. He's really enjoying that. My second son can play music, but he's not really that interested in music, so I don't push it too much on him, but he can. My third boy, Dallas, he knows how to play drums, but he plays guitar really, really well. He just picked it up, and he's doing so well with guitar right now. And then everybody kind of doodles on the piano a little bit. And then my daughter really likes to sing and play ukulele. And but I haven't pushed it on them. Like they've just kind of grown up in it. So, yeah. All right, back here. You mean any instrument?
Any type of music.
I would say that I can play any type of music, but I'm not good at every type of music. Some music I do really well on, some music I'm still kind of struggling with, but I can still do it. You know. Yes?
Can you play African drums?
I can play African drums. In fact, I've studied it quite a bit. Anybody have any questions over here? All right.
Do you play at like concerts?
Yes, I've played for thousands and thousands of people before, and I've also played for small rooms before where there's not that many people there. I've done all sorts of things. I've been playing for a long time now. This is what I do for work. So yeah, I've been in a lot of bands and I've played a lot of concerts. I'm just not famous. And I'm not rich either.
You said you teach, what is the instrument
Well, at my music school, in fact, when I'm done talking here, I'm going to give you guys some flyers to give to them later today. But at my music school, Studio Percussion Music and Dance Center, we teach a lot of different instruments. And I have teachers that are specialists in different instruments that help me out with that. I prefer to focus on drums and percussion. But I can play guitar, but I don't need to play and teach guitar because I have a guitar teacher that's way better than me that I have him do that. So I have a bunch of different teachers that teach other instruments. Other questions? Yeah. Yes. Not always, but sometimes. We all have to eat. All right, anybody else? All right, you.
Were you like nervous when you would find a perform in front of thousands of people?
You know, that's kind of a funny question. In my experience, it doesn't really have anything to do with how many people were there when you're talking about being nervous. I think it depends on how you feel about what you're about to do and also who you think might be out there that might know stuff, like maybe they're better than you or you want to impress somebody. You know, those things cause you to be nervous. It's not so much how many people were there. It's like when I was in the University of Florida marching band, some of these games we would play at halftime show, it'd be like 100,000 people there looking at you, and we'd have like a snare drum solo or something. And I was never nervous in those moments. But then sometimes if I'm in a room with only like 30 people in it, I might be really nervous because I'm worried about my performance, maybe because there's people there that I want to impress or whatever. I don't know. But as you get used to it, it becomes easier. All right, one more question.
If you feel comfortable, a lot of us first met you on a TV show. Your family was featured on a house show or something?
Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys would remember this because this was kind of a long time ago now, but I was on this show called Extreme Makeover Home Edition. And so a part of that show, it's a house remodeling show, but part of that show was I got to hang out with Kiss for a week, the band Kiss. I'm sure you guys know who they are. And I also got to hang out with some other musicians too, but they were kind of the highlight of the whole thing. So that was a lot of fun, and I got to play with them too. That was cool. All right, I want to make sure we have time for a couple more songs, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to give Miss Clark, I'm going to hand you some flyers here. So teachers, you can get these to your students later, and there's actually two types of flyers there, and that's fine, it's just what I have. The flyers have my information on it. If you want to get involved in music lessons, contact me. I got my email, my phone number, all that stuff is on there. Contact me, and whatever instrument you want to play, we'll hook you up with a teacher, and you can start learning to play an instrument. All right, let's do some music. Do we have time for one more song? Like a 3-minute song? Okay. Guys, I'm going to give you a choice. Okay, so the two choices are this. I can play Turn Down for What, or I can play Watch Me Wet, Watch Me Nay Nay. Raise your hand if you want to hear Turn Down for What. Raise your hand for Turn Down for What. All right, put your hands down. Raise your hand for Watch Me Wet. All right, we're doing Watch Me Wet. Thanks, guys. Gotta go. Guys, it was my pleasure. I hope you have a great day.